So in the previous session, we have seen the collect operation and we saw how we can use collect operation to combine multiple data together so that we can decrease the number of rows, which will be more better because there is no meaning of having a lot of rows and whose data is completely meaningless. So now with this, our next topic comes into the picture, which we will start from today. Just open the table. Types of internal tables. Tables. How do we declare a internal table at this moment? Like this way, right?
Mhm.
Like this way. This is how we declare it. What kind of internal table is this one? What kind of internal table? So we are required to understand types of internal table. How many types of internal table are there? So in our ABAP programming, what you are going to see is we have got three types. So we have three types of internal table in ABAP programming, out of which the first one is standard internal table. Standard internal table. Then we have the second one, which is sorted internal table. Sorted internal table. And then we have got the third one, which is hashed internal table. Hashed internal table. Standard, internal, sorted, and hashed internal table. So what are the differences between them and how we are going to use based on the different kind of requirement? So let's start with our standard internal table, and they are, what you are going to see here is they are also known as default internal table. Default internal table. Default internal tables. Let me open the server so that we can see it more clearly. I will go for log on. So of internal tables. Create understanding types of internal tables. And I will go for type executable. I will assign the package and the transport request. So let's create a structure, simple structure for our employee ID. So begin of ty employee ID, empid type data element of employee ID and employee name type data element of employee name. Pretty simple. Just a structure of two columns. So employee ty employee. Then how do we define an internal table? This is how I define it. LT employee type table of ty employee. And then I define a work area. So type ty employee. This is how we define a internal table or work area. So we have three types of internal table: standard, sorted, hashed internal table. Standard internal table are also known as default internal table. That is, whatever internal table that we had created or we have created till now is nothing but a default internal table. You can either define in this way or you can define it like this way. Let's say lt underscore emp type standard table of ty employee. Same thing, no difference. Either you can write this way or you can write this way. Both of them are default internal tables, no difference. This is the first point. Second point, they are index based internal table. That is every record will have an index in database. So using read operation, we can directly get the data based on index. That is why they are index based internal tables. Okay. Then third point, append statement, or let's say here we can records can be inserted or appended. Both records can be inserted or appended. Now, what is the difference between insert and append statement? Anybody?
The insert can be done above any of the fields in the table, but the append of a record is only done at the end of the internal table.
Yes. Simple difference. Append statement, it inserts the records only at the last of the internal table. It inserts the records only at the last of the internal table. And we have insert statement. So insert statement. How does insert statement works? So insert statement inserts the records anywhere, guys, anywhere in the internal table, at any place. We can insert it at any place. That is why insert statement. Now let's see how we are going to use them. So for that, I will store some data. Let's comment this thing. I'll store some data. So ls employee, I'm going to store an employee ID. Employee ID is equal to 101. Then what I will do, I will store employee name. Employee name is equal to, let's say, Shivam Singh. Now I'll append it. Append ls employee to work area, which is lt employee, and clear ls employee. One record has been inserted, appended. So let's just copy it and let's insert two more records. So 103, and here I'm inserting 104 record. Now just see what is going to happen here. Then I am going for again, and this time I am going for, let's say, 102. Where does 102 record will be now? At which index?
4.
Yes, 4. So if I display data into the end loop, if I display data using write statement, ls employee ID, ls employee name, if I display it, I am going to get it at the fourth index. I'm going to get it at the fourth index. Very, very perfect. But is this the correct way? No, my 102 must be at the second index. It should be in sorted order. So how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? So what you are going to see here is, for insert statement, we have got two ways. Two ways to insert the data. We have got two ways to insert the data. First one is, what we can do, that instead of this one, we can use directly insert here. So insert your work area name, which is ls employee, into your internal name, index number 2. Okay, let's check for the syntax. Yes, it is working, and execute it. Can you see? By default, it will insert the data. By default, it will insert the data. Now just see what is going to happen. If I am not going to write in this way, I am writing a different syntax for the same approach. So insert ls employee into lt employee, or let's say into table lt employee this time. This is the second approach. One is directly passing the index, another is directly inserting into the internal table. Now let's see how it is going to work. Execute. It is still coming at the same position, right? It is still coming at the same position. So two ways are there for performing the insert operation. If you are not specifying the index, at which the data should be stored, by default your data will be stored at the last one. It will become the append statement. Two different syntaxes. Okay, two different syntaxes for insert and for insert statement. Okay, so let's comment it out and let's uncomment this one again. This is our third operation of my default internal table. Fourth, data is by default not sorted. Not sorted. We can sort the data. Can sort the data, right? We have also seen it already. Sort lt employee by your column name on the basis of which you want to sort. Activate it and execute it. Perfect, right? I am sorting my data. So sort operation we can perform. This is my fourth point. Then we have fifth one. Let's see. Fifth one is, for standard internal table, we can read the data based on the key and based on the index also. We can read the data based on the key and based on the index also. That is, we can read the data based on a key or primary key. So what else we can do? Read table my employee name into work area name with key employee ID is equal to, let's say, 101, and then if size sub rc equals to 0, what we can do? What else we can do? We can display the data. comment the below code. Check for this one. If there is a 101 data in my internal table, this should execute and it should give me some result. Yes, it is giving me. So one is this one, and the another way is we can also perform. Let's copy this thing, comment it, and we can also perform the index one, that is index 2. Activate, execute, index 2. So we can perform the read operation for our standard internal table based on key and based on index also. So this one is another thing. Then the next point, for standard internal table we can use the linear search as well as we can also use the binary search, right? Binary search. We can also use the binary search. We can also use the linear search. By default, this guy is going to perform the linear search, but you can also perform the binary search. For binary search, there is no need of index. We will always go for a key part. So we can also perform the binary search. By default, the complexity of the binary search is really less if you compare with the linear search or any other searching technique, and that is why binary search is more preferable. You will get the data more easily, like a million times faster. As your data is already sorted, you can directly perform the binary search. So both of the searching technique is allowed. Both of the searching technique is allowed in case of your standard internal table. This is your standard internal table. We can also write one more point, response time. Response time depends upon the number of entries in the internal table. Response time depends upon the number of entries in the internal table. This is the concept of your standard. Now let's see the sorted one. Any doubt in standard internal table?
No.
Okay. Then we have sorted internal table. So sorted internal table are a type of internal tables in which by default all the data is sorted. By default all the data is sorted. So we need to specify a we need to specify the key while declaring the sorted internal table. If I have to display the sorted internal table, or I have to use this concept of sorted internal table, I will need to specify the key while declaring the sorted internal table, so that based on that by default my data can be sorted. Based on that by default my data can be sorted. Now let's see how we are going to define. So let's comment this thing. And let's define here. So data lt employee type sorted table of ty employee, type sorted table of ty employee with unique key, employee id. Okay, unique key employee id. Wait, there is some error in line 16. Okay, in line 44, no issue. Let's just comment the line 44 code. Yeah, now let's see if there is some issue. No. This is how we are going to declare our sorted internal table with our key. Based on that, by default your data will be sorted. Based on that, by default your data will be sorted. Okay. And
Mhm.
second, third point, we should not use append statement for sorted internal table. Instead, we should go for insert statement only. Can anybody comment on this? Why should we not use the append statement inside our sorted internal table? Instead, we should only go for insert statement. Can anybody comment on this? Why? Think on that.
Because we should know if it is if after if after insertion it is still um, sorted. So
Hmm.
if we just append it, then maybe it's not sorted anymore.
Yes, that is the main reason. Because my system, the definition of your sorted internal table is by default, it must be in sorted order. So if you are following the concept of append statement, if you are following the concept of append statement instead of insert statement, just see what is the mistake going to happen here. 101 first record, 103 second record, 104 third record, and then 102 fourth record. Are they in sorted order based on this employee ID? No. So you will get a runtime error. You will get a runtime error. And if you will go into the code, can you see the same place where system is showing you the error? Never ever use, never ever use, never ever use append statement inside the, never ever use append statement inside your sorted internal table. Okay, otherwise you will get a runtime error.
Mhm.
You can all write the code that you will not get the error. It is possible. It is possible. Just comment this thing. You will not get the error. But this is not a good approach. In the real time scenario, we should never go for it, because we cannot predict where we are, any mistake that we had done, and if your code is not working in the production, your entire work is meaningless. So never ever go for it. We should only go for we should only go for insert statement. So we will go for insert ls employee into lt employee into table lt employee. By default it will store your data automatically. You don't need to worry on that. So let's copy this code and let's paste it here. Comment on this one, paste it here, and comment this one and uncomment this one. Let's check the syntaxes. No error. Activate it. Comment this read for now and uncomment the loop. Let's see I'm able to get the data or not. Execute. Yeah, it is perfectly fine. I have not specified any index. Still my 102 is coming at the second place. Because by default, based on the sorting, 102 will be stored at its own place. This is the concept of your sorted internal table. Okay. Then
Mhm.
some more points here. Data is already sorted. And therefore there is no need to use the sort statement. Then we can read the record using key or index both as a sorted internal table is also index based. Is also index based. Both of your code is going to work. You can check. Let's comment this loop, activate, execute, perfectly working. We can also go for index based also. This one, activate, execute, perfect. This one is working also. Then since data is already sorted, it is recommended to only use binary search in sorted internal table. Since data is already sorted, it is recommended to only use the concept of binary search in sorted internal table. So if you want, just go here and instead of this one, let's go for binary search. Just see here, binary search. We have already seen it, execute, and we will get our data. So we should only prefer the concept of binary search. And just see the difference here. Here we are also performing linear search. Data is coming linearly. Order of n is going to be the time complexity. In case of our binary search, order of log n is going to be the time complexity. So by default, the efficiency of your sorted internal table will be more and more as compared to the standard internal table, right?
Yes.
So response time of a sorted internal table is very fast, very fast as compared to the standard internal table, as compared to the standard internal table. Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Then let's go for has internal table. Now has internal table is a special type of internal tables which works on has algorithm, algorithms. Anybody have any idea about hasing, hashed algorithms? Mukul, Alan, any idea?
I
No, I
just
don't
know
know.
about,
Okay, no
all I
issue.
know
It's just
is,
a one of the technique is hasing in data structures and algorithms. Okay, so they have taken this thing from there to build their own internal table which works on these algorithms. We are not going to write any algorithm for that. By default, internally it works on that, and then it returns our data. Okay, we are not going to perform anything on that. We will just define our internal table. uh, so how we are going to define it? In the same way, as we have defined our sorted internal table. So lt employee type has internal table of or has table of ty employee with unique key is also necessary here. So unique key employee id. Okay, pretty simple, pretty simple. Now, what is hazing? You might be thinking on that if this is working on hash algorithm, what is hazing? Hazing is hazing. So in SAP, let's go for only SAP. We should not need to learn about something else. So in SAP, hazing is a technique. Hazing is a technique which directly returns the the address of the record based on the search key, which directly returns the address of the record based on the search key. So let's say now you know directly the address of each element. Okay, so will you be following linear search or binary search now? Is there any necessity for it? If I directly know that my item is stored in a particular box and I know its location, will I go and ask to some other person where is my item? No, I will directly go to that box and I will take my item, right? So
Yes.
if I know, just think on that. If I have items like this way, if I have elements like this way, and I know that my item is at this particular position, why should I start from there? Why should I go for linear search, or why should I go for the middle element to go for binary search? I will directly go for this position, right? I will directly go for this position as I know its location. I have the address of my record. This is how your hashing techniques works. It returns the address of the record based upon the search key. Whatever key you are going to search, it will directly return the address. Don't go the complexity of it, guys, that how it is returning you. But we need to know that this is how hashing works. It directly returns the address of it. And once we have the address of it, my job is done. I can get the data and perform whatever thing I'm looking for, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, second point, as the internal tables do not support the concept of indexes. It do not support the concept of indexes. That is why they are that is why they are not the index based internal table. This is the difference between internal index based internal table. This is the difference between your sorted, standard, and hash internal table. Sorted and standard are index based, but your hash is not index based because it do not support the concept of indexes. There is no meaning of indexes in hash internal table. We all have the address of each element. We have the address of each and every element here. So we can directly perform these things. Now, third point. As internal tables, as internal tables, has internal table is do not support the append statement. It do not support the append statement. If you are going to use here append instead of sort, you are going to get syntax error. Simply syntax error. Can you see? Syntax error. It do not support the concept of append. It only supports the concept of insert. Oh, can you see binary search? It is also giving us error, right?
Mm-hmm.
Searching is only for the index based kind of thing. If you are performing binary search, the primary condition for binary search is your data must be sorted, your internal table must be in sorted order, right? But is there
Yes.
any meaning of getting sorting in case of your hash internal table? No. No
No.
meaning of it. So there is no need of binary search. I can directly get my data. There is no meaning of binary search here. So append is not supported here. We only go for insert statement. We only go for insert statement. If you will go for append, by default you are going to get the compile time error. Then fourth, there is no impact of sort operation. There is no meaning of sort operation here. So there is no impact of sort operation as we read the data based on the hashed algorithm. Based on the hashed algorithms. Then next thing, we read a data using key. Index is not supported here. Since they are not the index based internal table, there is no meaning of it. There is no meaning of it. If you will use here, if you are going for index, you will get a error. You are going to get a error, compile time error. Explicit or implicit index operation cannot be used on tables with type has table. Never ever use it. Never ever use it. Otherwise you will get error. Otherwise you will get error. I hope this thing is clear. Okay.
Mhm.
Here has algorithm is used to search a record. Now my question is, which is more efficient? Which one is more efficient? Think on that and tell me which one is more efficient.
I think the hashed internal table
Okay.
was
What about you,
searching.
Mukul?
Mm, I was also saying the hash internal table, but
Okay.
yeah, for example, I don't know why what's the purpose of using a hash in a table, but I could think of this scenario where we have the employee IDs 101, 102, 103, where they will be the key, and then it's easier to find the employee.
See, here we are getting data directly based on hashing, right? Directly getting the data based on hashing techniques. We have the direct address. It doesn't matter if you have million records or whatever records. If you have the address, you are directly going for it. We are not directly going for like this one, this item, just looking for it that if I am able to find it or not. If I am able to find it or not, till then I will just go for next and next. So if I have the direct address, I will directly go and find it. So there is no meaning of how many data is there. So what you are going to see, what you are going to see here, response time is faster as compared to standard, standard and sorted internal table. Very, very fast. As now there will be a reason. So as response time is independent of number of entries, doesn't matter how many entries are there, because we have the address, I can directly get and that. So where it is well suited, so it is well suited for table. It is well suited for table where we have a huge number of records and we want to search based upon unique key, based upon unique key. Okay, is this thing clear?
Yes.
This is your types of internal table. Now there will be a question that which internal table we should prefer. So the simple answer for this one is totally depends upon the developer. Totally depends upon the developer. But everything has some pros and cons. So the only developer will be responsible for this thing, right? It totally depends upon the developer what kind of internal table he or she is going to use for the projects or for the any developing any product. So it totally depends on him or her who is using it. Okay. So this is your types of internal table. And if there is no doubt, let's move on to next topic.
Just one question.
Yeah.
So these tables are only defined on the application layer, not on the
They
database
are
layer.
temporary internal tables. That is why they are internal table. They are temporary tables. Okay.
Yeah.
Only for storing temporary data to perform certain kind of actions, right?
Okay. So, for example, if the table is already existing on the database and it is not sorted, it is not the sorted type. But if you want to define the internal table for that table,
You can then define
sorted
it.
type, will that work?
Definitely. How you are going to do it? Whenever you define an internal table, what is the necessity for it? We need a structure, right? We need a structure. You will define a structure for it, na? If you don't want to define, you will always need a structure, right? So this is the meaning of it. There is no meaning of any table here. We are going to bring data from DOM and then we will store them in this internal table. So that is why there is always a lot of complexity with this hash internal table. So if we want, like if you are performing most of the you have like lots of data, then my personal suggestion with my experience will be go for sorted internal table. But I mostly go for the standard one only because it is easy to manipulate it. While coding, it is easy to maintain this thing. That is why I go for it. But again, I wanted you must know both of them. There can be requirement while you whenever you will be developing any project. Okay,
Okay. Good.
is it clear?
Mhm.
Okay, guys. So let's move on to next thing. So next thing is selection screen. What is selection screen? Is selection screen. Do any of you remember we had discussed parts of program, right? We had discussed parts of program. We saw first was input part, right? Second was processing logic, and third was output part. Output part. How does input works in ABAP? How does we take input? Till now we are manually storing data in our internal tables, but we have not taken any input from the user, right? My code should works in a manner that user is going to give certain input, and based on that we are going to perform all those operations. Is it?
Yes.
So how will I take input from the user? This is the question, how I am going to take input from the user. So see here, selection screen is also known as input screen. Okay, selection screen is also known as input screen. User is going to give or provide input from the selection screen to the program. Okay, selection screen to the program. And another important thing, always by default every selection screen, every, doesn't matter which program you are writing, every selection screen or input screen will always have a screen number 1000. Screen number 1000. So if I'm writing a code, let me just get back and create another program. Selection, no, screen, let's say I'll go for create button. Understanding screen. So if I am just writing something, just focus on, kindly do not focus on that. I'm just showing you how does selection screen look like. This will open a selection screen. If I'll go for execute, see here, by default a screen is opening, and if you will go for system and status, just see the screen number 1000. Every selection screen have the same screen number, which is 1000. Now the question comes, how does input is taken from the user? How we will take input? Have the selection screen. Now how will I take input? So we have got two ways. We have two ways to take input from the user. We have got two ways. The first one is parameters, and the second one is select options. Parameters and select options. Okay, what is parameters? Parameters are used to take single input from the user. Parameters are used to take single input from the user. Okay, they are used to take single input from the user. Let's see how does parameter works. If I'll go back to my program, I have created a parameter, right? This is a parameter. Can you see parameter? How does it is defined? How does it is defined? Parameters keyword is used to define a parameter. Okay, is this clear?
Yes.
Now we have got a lot of different forms for our parameter. First one is we can provide a default value for our parameter using default keyword. I can directly provide here a default value using default keyword. By default, this 101 is going to appear on the selection screen. If I'll go to my selection screen or input screen, can you see by default it is coming here? Whatever value you are going to pass in the default, it will come there by default. Then we have another property of it. We can make our parameter mandatory that it must be filled, mandatory, using obligatory keyword. I can make it mandatory by using obligatory keyword. So here, if I will provide here, let's say obligatory, just see what is going to happen. Execute. Let's say I'm not passing any input and I'm clicking on execute button. Just see the error message. Make an entry in mandatory field P employee ID. Unless and until you are going to make an entry, you cannot perform anything here. By default, you will get this error if you do anything else. Obligatory. Used to make your parameter mandatory. Then third point, we can create radio buttons on the selection screen using parameters. So this is how we are going to create radio button. Let's remove obligatory and parameters. Let me just, I'm writing its name here as PR1 type C. Can anybody tell me what is the length of PR1 now? If I'm giving only type C, what is the length of PR1?
1.
1. Good. So radio button group. Then we are required to pass a group for all these radio buttons. Always we will have same group. Group name should be same here, because your system then it will not be able to understand. As the property of your radio button is only one can be selected, then that is why their group must be same. Their name can be different, but their group must be same. Otherwise their system will get confused that which one it should select. Type C radio button group R1. Any group you can give. Any group you can give. Now if we'll go for execute, just see here. We have got two different radio buttons. One we can select at a time. That is why their group must be same. Anyone. If you want, you can go give name here from text element. Go for selection text, and let's say I'm giving your value employee ID, and I'm giving here, let's say, radio button 1, and I'm giving its value as radio button 2. Activate your code, get back. What is the name of my radio button 1? PR1, right? What is the name of my radio button PR2? But if I will go to my selection screen now, what is the value I'm able to see here? The value which I have passed in the text elements, selection text, right? Do you guys remember the concept of field label in our data element? Do you guys remember the concept of field label in our data element?
No, don't think so.
What was the use of field label there? The field label was defined so that any whatever name that we want to show to our end user, it will be displayed there instead of the technical name of the field, right? As the
Yes.
heading. Same properties here also in the text, symbols, in the text selection text. Whatever the name you are giving for all your parameters and select options that you are going to give, it will be visible to the end user instead of their technical names. So now you are no longer required to give a meaningful name over here in the technical perspective. You can write the logic in the same way, but your user is going to see it differently, right? So this is for radio buttons. Another property we have, we can create checkboxes using uh, parameters. We can create checkboxes. So checkboxes, we can select multiple checkboxes. This is the usual property. So parameters, let's say I'm giving its name as PCHK1 type, or sorry, edge checkbox. PCHK2 let's change its name from text element. So selection text, I'm changing its name as checkbox 1. I'm giving its name here as checkbox 2. So checkbox 2, activate it, get back, execute it. This here. Checkboxes, guys. We can write logic based on the checkboxes. We can write logic. If you are selecting the checkbox, by default PCHK1 will become true. And in ABAP, true means X, right? X is the meaning of true here. Or ABAP underscore true. Same value. X is the value for true here. So we can write logic based on the radio button and checkboxes or the parameters that we are going to create. Parameters are used to take single input from the user. Now select options. What is select option? So select options are used to pass the range of inputs. Pass the range of inputs. Range of inputs. That is, here let's say I'm giving a number 105 as input, but now here what I can give a range of input, that is, let's say 101 to 107 in form of a range now. Okay, here we can only pass a single input. Let's say I'm passing some name here, but using a select option we can pass range of values. So if you want to perform only operation on a single value, then we go for parameters. But if you want to pass range of inputs, then we go for our select option. Very, very important. Now the question is, how will I create a select option? How am I going to create it? So just focus on this, guys. We will always need a variable for defining a select option. We will need a variable for it. So for whatever column, whatever field that you are going to create a select option, first create a variable for it. How do we define a variable? By using data keyword. So LV, let's say I'm defining a variable for my employee ID. So I am giving its value here as the data element, and this is my variable name. Very, very simple. Now what we will do, we are going to use this variable to create our select option. So select options. This is how your select options is defined. Colon S employee ID. S is used here. S is most preferred here as compared to parameter. You can see P I was using for parameters. P I was using for parameter, but for my select option, I am using S employee ID for here for your variable name. For your variable name. Okay. Is this thing clear?
Yes.
Is this thing clear? Now just go and check it. How does it is looking? This is your select option. Range of input. Range of input. Also, it is providing here a multiple selection option. You can directly pass here single input. Let's say I'm passing 103. I'll click on execute and say here. By default, data will only go for the single one also. So if you are not passing any value here, if you are not passing any value, go for this one, 103, execute. Can you see 103 is automatic coming? It select option provide a lot of features. You can pass direct ranges from here, or if you don't, if let's say you are passing a range from 101 to 107, but you don't want your data should execute for 103 value, So you can also pass excluded single values. Similarly, you can pass exclude ranges. The beauty of select option, guys, very beautiful in nature. Very beautiful in nature. So let's change it name. So select option. Let's say I'm passing here range of employee ID. Range for employee ID. Activate, get back, execute, and see. Now it is looking perfectly fine. Okay. This is for interval or multiple selection. We can also change our feature of our select option as we have seen for our parameter also. Here we can also make it obligatory and kind of thing. Or I can go for, let's say, no intervals. Just see how it is going to happen. Now I'm passing no interval, execute. Can you see my another range is missing, right? Only single field is coming. If you don't want this extension, you can also remove it from here. No extension. No extension. Yeah, this one. Execute. Just see. Now it has become similar to your parameter, right? Similar to your parameter, is it?
Yes.
So it's just a way of writing logic. Just way of writing logic. We can perform anything. Totally, it depends on the developer, how they are developing their logic. Then you can perform anything. Parameter, guys, and select option. Then next thing. Is this thing clear or any doubt we have?
It's clear.
Oh, this is clear.
Okay, perfect. So also we can do some designing. We can do some designing of our select option of our selection screen. We can do some designing of our selection screen. So what we can do is that instead of directly showing them like this way, we can store them in a particular box so that they can look some more beautiful. But here we can do, let me just show what else can we do here, that we can create a block for them. So for selection screen, we can define a block also. For selection screen, we can define begin of block. Let's say I'm giving its name B1 for my block. Also, we can give here frame title and with frame. I can give here frame also. So selection screen and of block B1 and of block B1. Let's check for syntax. No error. Okay. Now let's just copy this entire parameter section and select option and paste it inside it. Let's see how it is going to look like now. Go for pretty printer. Go for execute. Can you see? Can you see? Everything is coming in a particular frame, right? In a frame. You might have seen this screen on some other transaction code while using. This is how your SAP has designed it. This is how your SAP has designed it. Is this thing clear, guys? How we can design our selection screen, right? Also, let's say I want to display a title for it, that this selection screen for some purpose. So what I can do with frame title text, and I can give some element name, let's say 002, and I will go for my text element, go to text element, and for 002 I'm going to write something, let's say hello, today I will master ABAP. this thing. So let's see if it is getting displayed or not. For 002, the same thing I'm using here. Go for execute, just see it. Right? This is how everything is happening here. Okay. Will now we be, everyone will be able to design your selection screen, right? This is just for fun, guys. Okay. This is just for
Yes.
fun, how we can play with the ABAP. Now we have got this select option, so we have got different part of it. Parts of select options. So if you want to see, what you can do here is just put here some breakpoint. It will be then more easy for us to understand. Go for execute and let's pass some input here for select option 105. Let's say 106. I'm going for execute button. We are inside the debugging mode. Now double click on select option. Double click on S employee ID, which is select option. Just see here. We are getting two variables, right? Two variables, and one is with brackets, another is without brackets, right? Think on that. What is the difference between these two? Think on that. Just read this thing and tell me, what do you think? What is the difference between them?
One is a single value and the other one is an array.
Array is not a good word if you go for a ABAP, right? Here we mostly prefer table. Okay. So I know this is why you are telling, because this is how we store it in case of our JavaScript and for Python also. I know it. Okay.
So
But
just one question,
yeah,
in this table variable, it says 1 times 4. So I know there's one record and 4 columns in this table for right now, but
yes,
I'm
yes,
not sure
yes.
what.
I am just going to explain this thing. Just think on that. We have got select option, right? But how it is behaving? It is behaving in two different ways, right? The beauty of select option, guys, it is a internal table. Select option, let me just write select option is an internal table with header line. Internal table with header line. So it is also a type of internal table, but it will become completely confusing if we are going to use it. Okay, but again, select option is based on this. That is why I wanted to explain it here. So in case of your internal table with header line, what you are going to see is it will work for as work area and internal table both. Only the difference is if you are going to use it as an internal table, you will have to use bracket also. But if you are going to use it as only a work area, you can directly use it. Now if we will double click on that, can you see we have got four components or four fields of it? Sign, option, low, high. What is the value of your employee ID that you had given from the selection screen? 101 to 106. This is the range, right? This is the range we had given at the runtime. Sorry, at the selection screen. Is it? Now just see this one. Double click on this internal table. So select option behaves in both way, as a work area, as an internal table in both way, and it have got four fields or four option. So there are select option has four components or four columns. A select options has four columns. Never ever use the concept of internal table with header line, or you will be completely confused. Only if you are playing or using select options at some place, then for knowledge we are going to use it. Otherwise this is highly risky. It can completely change your entire code. Never ever go for it. This will be my suggestion. Otherwise, you can do anything. You are going to be a developer. So I select option as for component sign. The value of sign can be I or E. That is include or exclude. Include or exclude. Then B. Option. So option here is a relational operator. Relational operator. Optional here is a relational operator and its value can be EQ for equal to, BT for between, LT for less than, and let's say GT for greater than, etc. Its value can be this thing. Then C. Low. Low will be low value for the range, and high. So it will be high value of your field. Okay, high value. Now just see here, how do I know that its value can be EQ or its value can be EQ or between, or it can be exclude or include? How do I know it? Let me just show you guys. If you go to your selection screen again, here you can pass the value. Let's say I'm passing single value 104 and I am excluding a value 103. So 104 I'm passing single and 103 I'm excluding. Now I'll go for execute, click on execute button. I'll go for debugging. I will double click on select option. Can you see here 3 rows? Can you see here 3 rows in the internal table?
Yes.
One is for the direct input that we have given from the selection screen, which is 101 and 106. The second row is equal to value. Equal to value for 104 and its sign is I for include, and the third one is for exclude. So your row is going to execute for, your code is going to for execute for this much, but it will exclude this value also. Okay, it will exclude this particular value also. Is there any doubt?
No.
No,
Cool.
no,
Just
no
one
doubts.
question.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes,
just one
please.
question. On these attributes field, it says that it has the number 18 there. I'm not really sure what it means. The 18 in round brackets a bit up. Yes, here.
Just go for 3, 4. Oh, I don't know also where is it.
Okay.
Okay, not like that. We will have to check. Okay, let's just remove it. Let me just bring only one thing. Let's change its value. Let's find it. I'm removing one. Let's see how much its value is going to come. 18. Okay, why 18? 3, 3, 6, 2, 8, and 1, 9. Oh, no, 9 to 18. Not like this way, but there must be some meaning for it. I will check for it. Okay, no issue. I'll check for it. This is
Thanks.
our select option. Okay. Now I know how I'm going to take input from the user, right? I know how I'm going to take input. Then I know should perform the logic part also, right? Then I should perform the logic part. Based on the input, I should perform the logic part also now. So till now we have seen how we are going to how we are going to take input and how we can manually store data in our internal table. Now my question is, how am I going to bring data from the database? How we are going to bring the data from the database and store it in the internal table? Any suggestion? Is any suggestion on this? How we are going to do that? Any suggestion?
We can read it line by line from the database by putting it in a work area, and this work area will fill the internal table.
Do you think a read operation is going to work on a table, or it is a internal table operation?
Not sure.
Read is the internal table, right? Read is the internal table operation. Did I ever explain that we can use read on table? No, never.
No.
Read is just an internal table operation. That why we are using internal table? Because we cannot directly perform any operation on table. It will be completely meaningless. It can destroy my data, right?
Yes.
So instead of performing everything, we know that we are going to bring data. So this is my question, how we are going to bring that? This is a very good question. So before answering that, I will have a topic called classical report. Classical report. What is classical report? So reports are executable programs. Just see the answer. Reports are executable programs that read the data from the database, processes the data, and displays the data in the required format. Now, what is classical report? So, classical reports are the most basic ABAP reports in which we display the output using write statement. Is this thing clear? Using write statement. Okay. Here we are going to see two screens input screen or selection screen, and the second one will be our output screen, which will be displaying our data on the output screen, which will be displaying our data. Now the question here is how we are going to bring the data from the database. Question is same, how we are going to bring them.
I think we can loop through the database table into the database table into this database table
into into
the
work
structure
area.
and
So
the
if
work
I am
area.
going to write, let's say I'm going to write a loop at my employee table, is it going to work? Into, let's say, some work area. What do you think? Is it a meaningful thing to performing loop directly over table? If I can do directly something on my table, then what is the need of internal table? Never. This is never an approach. The answer for your question is we are going to use SQL queries. You guys might have heard it in the data. Okay. Now, what is ABAP, guys? What is ABAP? ABAP is a object-oriented programming language which utilizes the features of Java, C++, and SQL it is. Okay, 3 different and much more. They are updating it on a regular basis. We are going to use SQL to bring the data. What is SQL? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Okay. How many types of SQL? Now, how many types of SQL? First is your OpenSQL or OpenSQL. Second is your native SQL or SQL. So OpenSQL is database independent. Then we have native SQL is database dependent. Now just read these 2 statements and tell me what kind of SQLs we are going to use inside our ABAP. What kind of SQL or SQL?
I think the OpenSQL.
Can you tell me the reason for it? Think on that. The answer is directly in your mind, guys. Just you need to look on that. Very simple answer for it. Do you guys have worked on ECC?
Sorry, on what?
On ECC system. Do any of you have worked on ECC system?
No.
None?
Don't think so.
Okay, so have you ever worked on any other databases on your SAP like Oracle, Sybase or anything that must be there?
Yes, on
Right?
MySQL.
Yeah,
Database,
MySQL.
so, yeah.
Okay, MySQL database. Currently, we are getting training on our HANA database. So what is the meaning of database independent? If my code is not going to work on MySQL database or Oracle database, what is the meaning of ABAP code? If my ABAP code is different on both the databases, it will be completely meaningless, right? My code should execute on every kind of database. It doesn't matter. So
yes.
We use Open SQL in ABAP programming. Okay.
Yes. I just remembered. It's because it should be cross-platform.
Yeah,
It should work cross-platform. So even if you change your database, then like you said, your ABAP program should still work with all the SQL operations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I understand.
Perfect. Perfect. Right. So we are going to write queries to bring data. So let's write some query and let's see how we are going to perform. And let's see it. I'll go for IC38. What should I SQL ABAP code. Understand bringing data from database now. Bringing data. I'll go for executable because we always need queries. SQL is the only language which is used on any database. That is why ABAP is the combination of much more very different kind of programming language. So as usual, we will need a structure. So I'm going to create a structure. So if I go to my, let's go for some standard table, guys. We are also playing with custom alternate. I'm going for sales order header table. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm let's say selecting some columns from here. Let's say I'm selecting these columns. Okay. How will I define a structure for it? If I have to define a structure, how will I do? Types begin of ty type. Let's say I'm naming it VBAK now, right? Then what I do? I give the name of my column, its type, followed by its data element. Then we go for ERDAT, its type, its data element, ERZDT, its type and data element, ERNUM, its type and data element. Then I will go for, let's say, AUDAT also, AUDAT type, its data element. And at last I will have this VBTYP, which is your document category for sales order. So type its data element VBTYPL, and I will end comma end of TYVBAK. Perfect, no error. Then I will define my internal table. So LTVBAK, type table of TY underscore VBAK, it's work area. So LSVBAK, type TY underscore VBAK. Let's check for syntax, no error. Let's check how much data is there in our standard table. Only 3 data. Okay, no problem. I've got 3 data here. So let's check what we are going to do. How will I define a parameter? This is how a parameter, right? So what is the primary key of my sales order header? What is the primary key? This is my primary key, right? VBELN, sales document number. So P VBELN, type its data element, pin paste. Then we will bring the data based on this value, based on this value. Now just see it, guys. Based on this value, how we are going to bring the data. So we will write select query. So select. See, one way is directly perform the star. Directly go for star. Now the problem with star. Star is going to bring all the columns of your table. How many columns are there? Just see this. How many columns are there? 255, right? 255. And just think on that. How many times you are going to use 255 columns in any project? We barely use 10 to 15 columns in a project of any table, right? So is there any meaning of bringing all the data from the database for all these 255 columns, right? This is completely meaningless. My code will become lengthy. My application will become completely heavy, right? Application layer can become heavy. There is no meaning of it. So instead of that, what we can do is we will only bring those columns which are necessary. So which I need in this structure. Why I'm bringing all the data? So ERDAT, okay, ERZDT, ERNUM, AUDAT, and VBTYP. Okay, from what is the name of your table? VBAK, VBAK into table. This is just a keyword. All of them are keyword, right? Everything that is in blue color is a keyword. So into table, your internal table name in which you are going to store, into internal table name in which you are going to store, where your VBELN, that is your primary key, VBLN is equal to the input given by the user. This is a parameter. Is this something difficult? Is
No.
this something difficult? Nothing is difficult in ABAP, guys. My only suggestion is it is just lengthy in nature. Nothing is difficult here. So I have got my data in internal table, right? Based on the input given by the user. I can now display it, right? I can perform any action that I want. So loop add LTVBAK into LSVBAK. That is why I do not much prefer this direct standard table because all of their names are in German. Okay. And we are mostly we usually prefer the English language. That is why it becomes more confusing to understand these standard things, right? So loop at LTVBAK into LSVBAK and loop, and then I will display the data. Write LSVBAK hyphen VBLN LSVBAK ERDAT LSVBAK ERZDT LSVBAK ERNUM LSVBAK AUDAT LSVBAK VBTYP. Okay, simple, right? Let's go for syntax check. Activate it, execute it. I'm let's say giving value 1 as I have only 3 data in my table. I don't know why there is only 3 data, but this is just a demo system for practice purpose. So there is no meaning of all these things. So I'll go for 1, execute. Can you see? Right? I'm able to get the data. Right? I'm able to get the data, all these columns. For how does it is getting us? Just put a debugger here. Go for execute, put here 1, go for debug mode, and in the debugging you can check it how it is actually working. What is the value given by user? 1. Are you able to understand why this much 0 is coming?
Yeah, because this variable maybe has the
Yes,
length.
its length is
This,
character 10. If you'll go, the length of your VBLN is character 10. That
yes.
is why you are getting 9 zeros before your 1. Now just see here, if you will click on F6, you will double click on LTVBAK, just see all the data is coming. From where it is coming? It is coming from your database table, right? It is bringing data from your database table. Now the question you might think that why it is only bringing 1 row? Because there is only 1 data, right? In your table, it is only 1 data for 1, right? Is this thing clear?
Yes.
Then we are simply displaying it. This is how we actually bring the data from our database using parameters. Now how we will go for select option. How we are going for select option. So let's comment this parameter. I'm defining select option now. So I will need a variable as usual. So variable I will define LVVBLN. Its type I will give its data element. And then I will this time define a select options as VBLN for it for my variable of VBLN LVVBLN. Now how am I going to write my query for my select option? Same to same, no difference. VBLN ERDAT ERZDT ERNUM AUDAT VBUTYP, which is document category, from your VBAK table into table LTVBAK where VBELN is equal to SVBLN. Is my code going to work if I am writing the same to same query? Is my code going to work? Same to same query for select option also. Think on that. Is my code going to work? Mukul Allen, is my code going to work if I'm going to write same to same query here?
I think this will have to be looped through.
No loop. Again, please, we are writing query. There is no meaning of loop here.
Yeah, I
One of
mean
the
the
best
value.
programming practices is never
Yes.
ever use select queries inside the loop. Okay. So what the problem here is, we are going for range, and here I'm passing equal to. Equal to is strictly comparing thing. So we cannot direct go for equal to. Instead we use in here. Okay. Oh, sorry. Instead we use in here. Instead of equal to, we use in for select option. Now go for syntax check, activate, go for execute, pass your value 1 to 3 and see all the data, right? Okay. This is how we can get the data based on parameter and based on select option also. Now one thing, just think on that. How many data we are bringing when we are using parameter on header table? How many record? How many record we are bringing when we are going for parameters? How many record we are bringing or row? Only one, right? Because this code is on header table VBAK, it will have only one record, only one row. So can I directly use my work area, as my work area can also store one record at a time? But is there any meaning of using internal table if I am only bringing one row? Think on that. Can I store it directly in work area? If I am bringing only one row, I know it that only one row is
Yes,
going to come. Can I do
only
it?
one row only should work, yeah.
Yes, we can do it. We can do it. There will be only a little change here in the code. Select VBELN, ERDAT, ERZDT, ERNUM, AUDAT, PBTYP from my table name, which is VBAK, into, we are using here table, which is showing its reference to the internal table, but here we are not using internal table. That is why we will directly use the work area name. Okay, into LSVBAK, where VBLN is equal to PVBLN. Is this code correct? Hmm? Is this code correct? No, still there is some missing. Just see it. Incorrect nesting. What it is saying? For select, there must be a and select. The reason here is you are referring for work area, but this is not able to understand. Still it is trying to bring multiple rows, and that is why it is not able to store it inside the work area. So for if you are going to store in a single work area, you will use here single keyword. Now your code is correct. Single keyword. Okay. So you can also bring and store the data in a work area also. Totally depends upon you. And you can display it. Just copy this code, comment this loop, and paste it here. Just see if it is working or not. Execute. 1, or let's say 2 this time. Just see. Okay, you can bring it, totally depends upon you. 3 ways to bring the data. We use the parameter, bring the data in the internal table, perform the loop and do whatever you want. Second one is go for select option, you can bring the multiple records. Third is you can directly bring the single record and store it in the work area, right? Is this thing clear or still there is any doubt?
It's clear to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it clear?
Mhm.
So this much is enough for today.